So what we'll ask you to do is to just all come up to the podium and one person accept the award. Just brief thank you for that. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Fairfield City Hall. This is another edition of Inside Fairfield Live, and we have a very special broadcast this evening. We are able to get to host our first awards ceremony for the newly created Mayor's Community Excellence Award. This award was conceived and designed to honor those heroes and volunteers of our community that create an environment of community excellence. Those people that, through their gifts and talent and through their volunteer service, through their extraordinary giving, do things around our community that make our lives better in many ways and help possibly the less fortunate in our community, and do so with a grace and a quietness that sometimes goes unrecognized. And it was my feeling that this would be a nice way to say thank you to a lot of those extraordinary people and organizations, and also highlight and encourage more of the same kinds of activities in our community. The award will have three categories. First will be a general category that we call Community Betterment. The next category is called the Compassionate Community Service category for those who really show their specialty in working with the elderly, youth, and the people with special needs in our community. The third category is Community Beautification and Environment, since there is quite a lot of attention and activity that goes on in that area, and certainly is something that uplifts the quality of our community. The award was created in March. We did ask those nominations were received and reviewed by Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilman Myron Gookin, and also our City Clerk Joy Messer, who will help this evening with the distribution and the awarding of our Community Service Awards. Earlier this evening, one of our award recipients, John Ozimek, who has been working with the Fairfield Little League for over 19 years and is really responsible for many of the progressive changes that that organization has made over the years, was given an award on the field because he was hosting a tournament here, as is his custom, all summer long. I was able to go down and present the award in front of some visitors to our community and some parents of Fairfield ball players, and it was well appreciated and well received. So whoever is the first award recipient need not feel nervous at all, because one has already been given. So we will start this evening's awards with the category of Beautification and Environment. And the first award recipient goes to an organization called Stewards of the Park. And this group, again, very quietly for the last 2 years, has been working in the area of our Waterworks Park and around Reservoir 2 in a lot of the natural and native areas that exist there. We are very fortunate within our city limits to have some very good prairie remnants, but those of you who know anything about Prairie know that it really needs to be attended to in order to stay in the quality condition that it would need to continue. This group was inspired by Martha Stillman, who is from the Iowa Prairie Network, and they have over 40 volunteers that attend to a number of different projects in those areas of the Prairie. Recently, they sought to have a prairie burns school to train a lot of their volunteers in prairie burns. And there was a cancellation of the expert who was going to lead them in that. And I think the group discovered at that time that there was a gentleman who locally had the training in both and expertise in wildlife and forest restoration, and was also very skilled and trained in conducting prairie burns. His name is Jeffrey Lerner. Jeffrey joined the group and did lead them in a couple of very successful prairie burns. He taught a local Prairie burn school, and I believe the group has conducted 7 Prairie burns, which amounted to about over 100 man-hours. Other activities of the Stewards of the Park organization is they took training from the Iowa Water workshops to basically survey the condition of our water in our reservoirs. They've also conducted 3 grant writing workshops to support a lot of these activities. They are presently involved in a process of weeding the prairie, which I can only imagine is a tedious venture, but something very, very important so that those elements that do not belong in the native prairie are weeded out. They do a lot of plant identification, and they do a lot of work in teaching children. So it's my pleasure now to invite 4 members of the Stewards of the Park group to come up and receive our first Mayor's Community Excellence Award.
And this is Jeffrey Lerner, who was...
Would you speak into the microphone? Yes. Good, step right up there.
That was Jeffrey Lerner, who was our burn chief for the 7 burns that we did earlier this spring. And next is Jack Eastman, who was a trooper with attending every burn, and who is really the inspiration and the motivation behind the Iowa Water workshop and the at least 12 people that have been trained here in Fairfield in how to do the water quality monitoring. And last but not least is Laura McCormick, who's our in-residence botanist, and whose knowledge and expertise regarding identifying the native plants and helping to educate community members about the native wildflowers and grasses in the prairie, we couldn't do without. So and there are at least 40 more people who are members of the Stewards of the Park, and believe it or not, as we're out there weeding the prairie remnants, people come by and say, "Oh, I want to help you do that, sign me up." So we're always willing and open to have more people help and enjoy our natural resources and become volunteers in helping to preserve and maintain the lovely prairie gems that we have right here in the city limits. So thank you on behalf of the whole group
Thank you very
for this.
much.
Ooh, thank you. Ooh, that's beautiful.
Thank you very much. I mentioned also that the award was created by a local company, Creative Edge, and we thank them for their creativity in helping this. Now I'd like to introduce Mayor Pro Tem Myron Gookin to present our next award.
Thank you, Mayor Malloy. It's been a real privilege to work with Mayor Malloy and with Joy Messer as we've considered the recipients of these awards. And this is really, I consider, to be a community award. This is what community is all about, is people that take stock in their community and are willing to work hard. And these people that we're honoring this evening are true examples of community and of working together. So it's been a real privilege to be a part of that. I'm going to present the second Community Beautification and Environment Award. This second award goes to a gentleman who is no stranger to public service in the city of Fairfield. Dave Neff is our recipient, and I'd like to share a little bit this evening about what Dave has been involved in community beautification and environment that makes him so deserving of this award. Dave has been very active in our community, and one of the things that he's been active in has been on the Fairfield Park and Recreation Board of Directors. He served on that board and as chair from 1976 through 1991. But what we're really honoring him tonight about is his role in the Fairfield Tree Enhancement Committee. Dave has been a member of that committee and chair since 1991 through today, to 2004. So has been with that committee for 13 years, and during that period of time the Tree Enhancement Committee has planted trees just in the city of Fairfield valued at over $85,000, which is really incredible for a city the size of Fairfield, with primary grant funding coming from Alliant Utilities, through what's called the Branching Out program that is administered by Trees Forever out of Marion, Iowa. Fairfield has received the Tree City USA designation by the National Arbor Day Foundation 10 times as a result of the work of this organization. The committee has planted trees in all of the public parks in Fairfield as well as all of the school locations here in Fairfield. And I think it's just an incredible legacy for this committee and for Dave that these trees have been planted and will continue to grow and be a great resource for shade and for those nice summer days underneath the trees that we'll have for many years to come. So I'd like to have Dave Neff come forward and receive that award. Dave? Thank you, Myron. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. There you go. You'd like to say a word?
I'd like to thank all the folks who made this possible, but also especially the people that have been with us over the 13-year time period. Both Oakwood Nursery and the landscaper have had involvement all the way through, as well as other volunteers in the organization, too numerous to mention. But I guess the crowning glory was today when they were minting the first Iowa quarter out in Denver, and it's got a schoolhouse and they're planting a tree. That's what we do every Arbor Day on a school ground, and so I thought, boy, that that really hits home. So thank you very much for your support. I've given my 1-year notice already, so somebody else is going to have to stop up and make it happen. 15 years is plenty of time, so thank you.
Our next award category will be Compassionate Community Service. John Ozimek, as I mentioned earlier, received the first award in this category. And the second award will go to someone who is very close to us here at the city. She's an employee and is the enforcer of our meters in the downtown, Lisa Metcalf, that she does with great cheer and great support. Lisa is the daughter of the late Edward Liblin and Carol Martin Nelson. Lisa's been a resident of Jefferson County her whole life. She was married to Jim Metcalf, and they have 5 children. Rich Metcalf, Roxanne Altemeyer, Jenny Klett, and they all 3 coach and volunteer many hours for their community. Amber Aplara is a grad student at University of Northern Iowa, and Zachary Aplara is a private in the Army stationed in Fort Myers, Virginia. He's in the Old Guard that is in charge of the Arlington National Cemetery. Lisa is employed by the City of Fairfield and ResCare. Lisa started up the Challenger Baseball League after several years of decline to assist a friend, Brenda Parcell's son, Cody Harris, who is in a wheelchair. Challenger is played like T-ball that is open to any child that has mental and physical disability. The first year, Challenger had 13 players and has grown to 18 with a total of 21 for the next year. Fairfield team has 3 counties of kids playing, Jefferson, Van Buren, and Washington. Lisa is also receiving training next month to start up the Special Olympics once again for adults in Jefferson County. She has an excellent role model, her mother, Carol, who is with her this evening, who has always encouraged her. Lisa is also a Chicago Cubs fan and hopes to live long enough to see the Cubs win the World Series. Again, Lisa is a bright, intelligent, very giving, energetic, creative person, someone who is really a great example of that volunteer spirit and that giving in our community, and it is my great honor to invite Lisa to receive the next Community Election Award.
Thanks. I want to thank the city for doing this, and I want to encourage everybody to get out and volunteer. I have met 21 kids that I probably wouldn't have met if it hadn't been for this. So everybody needs to get out and volunteer. And if you know any kids that need to or could qualify to play ball, please call me.
Thanks, Lisa.
Our next award in the Community Betterment category goes to an organization that has done what I consider to be just an incredible job over the last few years in the project that they're working on. I'm talking about the Jefferson County Trails Council. This is a group that was founded in 1997. Basically, is just 7 years old at this point. In fact, I think in September, as I understand it, they'll have their 7th anniversary as the Trails Council. And it is just amazing the work that has been done on the Trails project around the city of Fairfield in the period of time that the Jefferson County Trails Council has been organized and working. The original inspiration for the Trails Council came from the Jefferson County Conservation Board, who, with I think some great farsightedness, determined that trails were a recreational resource that many Iowans and those from outside of Iowa can use and benefit from, and as a result founded the Jefferson County Trails Council in 1997. The Trails Council has approximately 60 active members at this point in time. We are in the process, the Trails Council is in the process of creating a 17-mile loop around the city of Fairfield, which we hope to have completed in 2007. The Park and Rec Department of the City of Fairfield will maintain the north half of the loop, and the County Conservation Board will maintain the southern half. And the Jefferson County Trails Council has partnered with the Iowa Department of Transportation to build the southern half of the loop in conjunction with the bypass that's being constructed, and we hope to have completed in 2007 also. So far, the DOT partnership is worth approximately $1.5 million in land acquisition, engineering, trail, and bridge building. And additionally, the Trails Council has acquired approximately $300,000 in federal funds through Region 15 grants, $200,000 through successful state DNR grants, over $150,000 in private donations, and approximately $85,000 in local option sales tax revenue from the city of Fairfield, which again, for the life of this organization, I think is an incredible tribute to them for how much money they've been able to raise for this great project of the Loop Trail. There is now approximately 4.5 miles of contiguous loop trail stretching from 8th and Gear Street to Walton Road, and with the completion of the Walton to Chautauqua section, there will be about 6 miles of trail, and then there's another half-mile section at Lamson Woods at the Neff wetlands that is already completed. The Loop Trail and the Cedar View Trail will contain 5 major bridges and many smaller ones. And in fact, this 4th of July weekend, I went out and saw the new bridge over the Burlington Northern Santa Fe. It's quite impressive, and again, I think it's a great tribute to what the Trails Council has been able to do. And as a matter of fact, working with FHS art students, Mark Schaefer, the art teacher at FHS, and local artist Judy Bales, the bridge that's being built over the Burlington Northern tracks east of town is integrating public art into the project. And some of you may have seen on FPAC, I think there's a program on that shows those different, the artwork that's going to go into the bridge. And the theme of that artwork is the history of Fairfield's manufacturing and its connection to the Loudon Company and the railroads and that connection. So it is with great honor and privilege that I award the Community Betterment Award to the Jefferson County Trails Council. There are many people within that organization that have worked very hard to create this trail system that's in the process of being completed. And I'd like to ask Ron Blair to come forward, but I'd also like to have the other members of the Trails Council that are here this evening to please come forward so Ron can introduce you also and receive this award.
Well, thank you, Myron. The Jefferson County Trail System is really being built by the community for the community, and there are many, many volunteers, and what I'd like to do tonight is just to introduce a cross-section of this community that's been so strong in developing this trail system. We have Ginny Hughes, We have Jerry Myers, husband Ron Myers. We have Kathy Peck, Bob Hunter-Dose, and Chris Hallinger. And these people here represent a part of the core group that really actively works on the trail system morning, noon, and night. There's so many things that could be said about the volunteers that have helped with this trail system, but rather than Myron has many nice things to say about the trail system, so I think it'll be sufficient to just introduce these good people and say thank you to the City of Fairfield.
Our final award this evening in the category of Community Betterment also goes to someone that I described a little bit earlier as the great behind-the-scenes quiet person who accomplishes tremendous great things. Stacy Hurlin, along with her husband Bill and a core of volunteers, just about 2 years ago created the First Fridays Art Walk, a means to showcase local artists, to re-enliven our downtown, create something that can become a signature event for our city, something that can build a reputation for celebration and for culture in our community. And there's so many things pointing in that direction, but it really has been Stacy's organizing power around the Art Walk, the First Fridays Art Walk, that has created the sense that anything is possible for our community and that we can grow events like this to become recognized around the state and certainly around the region, and that has really proven itself quite well. A little bit about Stacy. Stacy moved to Fairfield in June of 1982. She's the mother of 5 with her husband Bill. After raising her children, she wanted to get back to her background, which was art. And in May of 2002, she formed the ArtLife Society, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to education surrounding the arts and promotion of the arts. The name came from a personal philosophy that art is a reflection of life and that life is art. She created the First Fridays Art Walk, and the first Art Walk drew about 300 people to the downtown area, to about a dozen different galleries that were participating. More recent art walks have drawn as many as 2,000 people, and the people who have taken the time to look at license plates around the square had counted as many as 17 different counties that are represented on a First Fridays Art Walk, so we know we are drawing people from outside of our community as well. There have been an average of about 13 galleries per art walk. There have been over $72,000 in artwork sold during First Fridays Art Walks at an average price of $241, so it's fairly affordable art. There have been over 200 artists that have participated. There have been over 100 student art exhibits, 3 youth art galleries. The art walks have also featured musicians and mimes and jugglers and acrobats. And also, Stacy introduced a socially responsible theme to the art walks by using the attraction as a means to support organizations that help distribute food in our community. The Art for Food program was supported. Local organizations such as the Lord's Cupboard, the Neighborhood Center, and JC's Thanksgiving Gift Basket were all award recipients of the benefit of those Art for Food programs. Also last year, Stacy organized the first crafts fair associated with the Art Walk, called the October Craft Fair. Recently there's been the formation of a board of directors to take this really to the next level. And we want to thank Stacy for really re-enlivening the spirit of our community as it is tied to our downtown. I think that is the comment that I most enjoy hearing, is that people feel that on that first Friday of each month, it's like it used to be in downtown Fairfield, where we all come together and enjoy ourselves socially. So it is my pleasure now to introduce Stacy Hurlin to receive our final award for Community Betterment and the Mayor's Community Excellence Award.
Thank you. It has been completely my joy, and it has been completely an easy thing to do. Not that it wasn't very time consuming, but it's been easy to put these art walks together because it was the right time. It wasn't really anything that I did that couldn't have been done by somebody else, but when the time is right, all aspects seem to come together at the right time and just make it happen quickly, and that's what I have noticed with these art walks. And you do know now that there's this board of directors who have taken over. There are 19 members on the board. I'll be now focusing on a few new projects, and I think it's a very exciting time in Fairfield right now in the arts, in a lot of different areas, but in the arts, I think we have an open window right now for some really great opportunities. So I actually hand this right over to every artist, every art instructor, every administrator who is overseeing art programs in this town, every gallery owner, every merchant who is facilitating arts in our community, every studio, in fact, every person who has a creative thought, because I think our creativity is actually our future and our greatest treasure. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Congratulations to all of our award recipients tonight. I also want to say thank you to all of those who nominated our award recipients tonight. I think they did an outstanding job of really finding those gems in our community that really represent the spirit of this award. We look forward to next year's award. We have a city council meeting to conduct. We will take about a 5-minute break to get our videotape set up and get our council in here. But again, thank you very much for coming.